Picture this, a single-lane track hugging a vertical cliff, fog creeping in so thick you can't see the next turn, or a bridge so close to the sea that waves slam against the deck below you. These are roads only the most skilled riders dare to take, and today, we're riding 7 of the scariest. Let's start with a mountain path where the ground beneath your wheels is as treacherous as the air over the edge. North Yungas Road in Bolivia, often called Death Road, winds from the high-altitude capital of La Paz down to the subtropical town of Coroico. In many sections, it's little more than a 3-meter-wide strip of loose gravel pressed against a cliff, with a 2,000-foot drop just beyond your handlebars. The route descends roughly 3,500 meters, which means you pass through shifting weather zones where fog, thin air, and sudden temperature swings affect both your visibility and your concentration. Before a paved bypass on Route 3 opened around 2006, estimates of annual fatalities here varied. Some reports suggest 200 to 300 deaths a year, while others record fewer. Today, most through traffic takes the safer route, but for motorcyclists, the hazards remain. Tight hairpins vanish into cloud, and on busier days, passing traffic can edge you frighteningly close to the drop. Memorial crosses mark the spots where vehicles have gone over, a constant reminder that mistakes here are often final. Waterfalls spill directly across the road, soaking gravel and making surfaces unpredictable. In the wet season, heavy rain can trigger landslides with little warning. In the dry months, fine dust limits your sight and coats your visor. Even on clear days, you might round a bend to find a truck looming out of the mist or a stretch of unstable ground under a shallow stream. If you go, ride downhill from La Paz. Avoid high-season bike tour groups by starting after 3 p.m. and attempt it only with solid off-road experience. This road demands precise throttle and braking control, confident handling on variable terrain, and constant awareness when passing or being passed. From here, the path ahead leaves the open cliffs for a different kind of confinement, one carved straight through the mountain itself. The Guoliang Tunnel Road in China's Henan province is a single-lane passage cut straight through a cliff face, measuring about 1.2 kilometers long, roughly 4 meters, 13 feet wide, and 5 meters, 16 feet high. Through its hand-cut windows, the rock drops away into open air, with no guardrails between you and the valley below. Construction began in the early 1970s, with plans drawn up in 1972. 13 villagers from the isolated settlement of Guoliang used hand tools such as hammers and chisels to chip their way through solid rock, finishing the tunnel in 1977. Their work created a lifeline for the community that is now a draw for adventurous riders. On a motorcycle, the challenges start immediately. The tunnel twists through the rock in a series of bends where you can't see far ahead, and the single-lane width means that if you meet an oncoming vehicle, one of you will need to edge tight against the wall. Jagged rock protrusions and a rough surface require constant control, while the uneven light filtering through the side windows forces constant eye adjustment. You move from deep shadow to sudden glare and back again, which can briefly obscure hazards. Loose rock fragments sometimes fall onto the road, and traction can vary between patches. The safest approach is to keep your speed very low, use a steady throttle, and be ready to stop if another vehicle appears unexpectedly. Even negotiating the entrance demands precision, with limited sightlines down the first stretch. Once you exit, the next road trades enclosed rock for open sky, climbing in a series of steep switchbacks where the mountain itself becomes part of the challenge. In western Norway, Trollstigen, the Troll's Path, is a steep mountain road known for its 11 tight hairpin bends, climbing to about 850 meters above sea level at an average gradient of 10%. Open only from around mid-May to October, it draws thousands of visitors each season. But for motorcyclists, it offers more than a scenic ride. It's a demanding, technical climb where preparation matters. Vehicles over roughly 12.4 meters aren't allowed, yet you'll still share the road with long tour buses that can fill the lane. One of the most striking sights comes halfway up, where the Stigfossen waterfall sends mist drifting across a hairpin. That spray can leave the surface damp, even in dry weather, adding another layer of challenge on the already varied width of the road. Some stretches allow two-way flow, but others narrow to yield points that require you to plan your line carefully and stop smoothly, often on an incline. Conditions can change quickly. Sunshine can turn to low cloud or rain within minutes, while mountain gusts hit hardest mid-turn. A descent you started on dry tarmac can end on slick pavement. The safest approach is riding early in the morning or late in the season to avoid peak tourist traffic, watching for wet patches near the waterfall, and always accounting for sudden weather shifts. Trollstigen rewards skill, with views that appear in sudden bursts between bends. But the same remoteness and exposure that make it spectacular also make it unforgiving, a reality shared by another road ahead, one where the risks extend beyond the ride itself, into whether you're even covered if things go wrong. Skipper's Canyon Road in New Zealand is one of the few routes where rental insurance is often void. Check your policy before you ride, or avoid taking a rental altogether. This unsealed single-lane track was hand-cut into the canyon walls during the gold rush between about 1883 and 1890, and much of it remains as it was built. It follows the Shotover River in long, exposed sections where many stretches have no guardrails, leaving you with nothing between your wheels and a sheer drop. Width becomes a constant factor. In places, two vehicles cannot pass, and on one, roughly 4-kilometer section, there are no turnarounds, so you should expect to reverse if you meet oncoming traffic. On a motorcycle, the narrowness feels more manageable until you realize the schist gravel under your tires can shift under load, especially near the canyon edge. When dry, the surface is loose and dusty. When wet, the soft rock turns into a slick mud that robs you of traction. Water collects in shallow ruts and pools, and braking on these uneven surfaces demands care. Add occasional blind bends cut into the rock and the possibility of livestock wandering onto the track, and every meter forward requires both attention and restraint. Ride here at very low speeds, be ready to reverse in tight spots, and remember that help may be hours away. Every decision shapes your margin for error, and the stakes remain high from the first bend to the last. The next route will test a different skill, holding a steady line through a mountain climb, where the bends stack relentlessly toward the summit. High in the Andes, Los Caracoles Pass sits on Chile's Route 60 and Argentina's RN7, serving as one of the main links between the two countries. Its Chilean side is known for 24+ tight hairpins stacked in sequence, climbing toward the Cristo Redentor Tunnel, a high-altitude passage about 3,080 meters long, sitting around 3,175 meters above sea level. This stretch isn't just a scenic ride, it's a critical freight and commuter route with constant heavy truck traffic. Expect slow convoys of vehicles edging through narrow hairpins where space is limited and one driver's error can halt the line. Although the road is regularly maintained, it often closes in winter due to snow and rockfall. Even in summer, shaded sections can hold patches of ice, and strong mountain winds can hit mid-corner. Delays can last hours when weather turns or traffic stops to wait for staggered passage through the tunnel. The climb covers more than 2,400 meters of elevation from valley floor to peak. At this height, reduced oxygen affects both your body and your motorcycle. Engines run with less power, and cooling systems work differently in thinner, colder air. Monitor your bike's temperature and throttle response, and pace yourself to avoid fatigue. You'll be cornering almost constantly. The reward is a rare view back over the winding switchbacks you've just climbed, each one part of a sequence that demands focus, patience, and awareness. From high-altitude convoys and tight hairpins, we move next to a road where the challenge isn't the climb itself, but the unrelenting rhythm of curve after curve with no chance to rest. On the northern slopes of Japan's Mount Iwaki lies the Suguru-Iwaki skyline, a 9.3-kilometer toll road with 69 curves and an elevation gain of about 806 meters, averaging an 8.66% gradient. The climb takes you from dense forest to open alpine views, with the scenery shifting as quickly as the bends. For motorcycles, the round-trip toll is around 1,000 yen. From the very first turn, the road demands a rhythm you'll need to sustain until the summit. Each corner arrives in quick succession, leaving few straights to recover your breathing or shake out your hands. The sustained steering input and gear changes load both rider and machine. Watching engine temperature and ensuring steady cooling airflow is as important as setting your lines correctly. Surface quality varies without much warning. Some sections feel smooth and planted, while others show wear from weather, patched, rough, or uneven enough to force mid-corner adjustments. This constant variation makes it essential to scan the surface ahead and modify lean angle and speed on the fly. Braking discipline is critical here. Light, precise input inputs keep the bike composed through repeat transitions, while excessive or late braking can unsettle tires already working hard through the gradient. Because the climb is unbroken by long straights, your engine works continuously uphill. Fatigue isn't just in your body, but in your bike's systems as well. Plan to rest before and after the ascent, not during. Riders who manage their focus and pace here will find the reward in the sense of precision carried from the first bend to the last. The next challenge trades mountains and forests for an exposed stretch where the greatest force you face comes not from gravity, but from the power of the sea. In Norway's western fjords, the Atlantic Ocean Road stretches for about 8,274 meters, linking small islands across the Hustadvika coastline with 8 bridges. Opened in 1989 after construction began in 1983, it was built through fierce coastal weather that battered crews with multiple severe storms. The result was such a feat of design and resilience that it was later named Norway's Building of the 20th Century. Originally tolled, it has been free to ride since 1999. For motorcyclists, the hazards here have less to do with the layout than with the elements. Strong crosswinds sweep across the exposed bridges, shifting your line without warning. In storms, waves can rise high enough for ocean spray, and sometimes solid water, to wash over the deck. Salt streaks on your visor quickly cut visibility, and even in calm weather, the wind off the sea can push against your balance. These conditions are unpredictable. Clear skies can turn gray in minutes, and gusts can pick up mid-span between islands where there is no shelter. Many riders use roadside pull-offs to recover or wait out changes, and that's the safest way to take in the stunning panoramic views of open sea, low islands, and seabirds overhead. Trying to enjoy the scenery while moving here can mean losing focus when you need it most. The Atlantic Ocean Road leaves you with the same lesson as every route on this list. Success means knowing your limits, reading the conditions, and responding with skill. And on roads like these, that is where the real measure of the ride is found. The thrill on these roads comes from maintaining control when every turn, surface change, and weather shift works against you. That's what makes them a test of skill rather than courage alone. Be honest about your ability, check the season and opening status, confirm local rules like vehicle length limits, review any insurance restrictions, and carry emergency gear with a plan for remoteness. If you faced a road that truly tested you, share one example and one lesson learned in the comments so others can ride smarter. These routes are for experienced riders only, and sometimes the right choice is to turn back.